Chapter 701, Giants Never Retreat. Ulysses arrived at Snowman's location, but he failed to hit anything. It slid past, leaving behind a deep chasm. Behind it, fireballs exploded afterward, producing bursts one after another. Klein's somewhat stiff figure flashed about thanks to the fire. The King of the North didn't manage to open up a gap from him as the 5 meters was maintained. By the time Ulysses came to a stop, Klein, who was still invisible, suddenly sensed something amiss. A corresponding scene appeared in his mind. He lunged forward as he clung close to the ground and appeared underneath the frost dragon. Meanwhile, Ulysses' thick and powerful tail had swung over, lashing it towards the nearby Cyadas and Mobbit. Whoosh! With a loud crack, Mobbit was sent flying as he dodged the frost dragon's tail. As for Cyadas, she failed to keep up. Although she had the aid of the gales to retreat and reduce the force, she had been struck in the side. The strike shattered the thick illusory scales that surfaced over her body while her ribs fractured. She was also thrown out, but thanks to the wind, she didn't fall too hard onto the snow. If it were Mobbit or Anderson, this strike would have instantly killed them. Thankfully, the storm pathway had the corresponding illusory scales to protect her. Furthermore, every sequence advancement brought about corresponding improvements. Cyadas was only heavily injured, but she didn't lose consciousness. She didn't even completely lose her mobility. At that moment, Ulysses' neck moved as it widened its mouth, spewing out a light blue beam of light. The beam of light swept past Snowman, freezing him into an ice sculpture. Edwina, Frunzier, and Anderson were blocked by the huge dragon's body. They couldn't help him in time with the use of their other Beyonder powers because of the distance. Bang! The frost dragon leaped up a little and turned around. When it hit the ground again, it left a slight tremor. At that moment in time, it was clearly in a terrible state. The crack on its right shoulder was abnormally nasty. Although the frozen light blue liquid barely stopped the wound from worsening, its corresponding claw was nearly maimed and could hardly be used. Many of the illusory scales on its body had shattered and abnormally dimmed. It was as though they had lost large amounts of vitality. Regardless, it had severely injured and restrained 3 of its opponents. The situation was much better than before, especially with Grossel being seriously injured. It was no longer caught up in battle and could now attack as it wished. Upon seeing this scene, Edwina's light blue eyes turned black again. Sticky vile thoughts slowly flowed. She suddenly clenched her right palm, causing Ulysses to raise its head in a roar. It was in excruciating pain as light blue liquid flowed from the corner of its eyes and mouth. At that moment, the only thought on the frost dragon's mind was to purge the emotional disturbance from its spirit body. Taking the opportunity, Edwina's eyes lit up and turned extremely pure. The light of dawn around her had quickly materialized into a sword. She wanted to play the role of a guardian to fend off the King of the North. She believed that Jayaman Sparrow definitely had his reasons for staying by Ulysses' side while being invisible. All he needed was time. At that moment, a figure enveloped in the original light of dawn had charged at the frost dragon. It was none other than the giant Grossel. His chest had sunk in. His grayish-blue skin was pale, and the broadsword in his hand had web-like cracks. However, he still bravely faced his enemy. Grossel cleaved at his target like he was burning up his life, emitting light and warmth. Giants never retreat. Amidst his roar, Grossel parried the frost dragon's repeated blows, and he managed to dodge the ice-blue breath in time due to its maimed front claw. In prison, Frunzier ran over and began to restrict the King of the North's actions. Edwina also worked in tandem with him. Once Ulysses' rage allowed it to escape the restraints, she triggered its emotions again, allowing the restriction to continue and prevent the charge from happening again. At this moment, Anderson switched between throwing burning white spears and fireballs. Again and again, he dealt severe damage to the frost dragon. After Mobbit managed to catch his breath, he continued stealing its thoughts or powers, stopping the frost dragon's attacks. Ulysses attempted to spread its wings a second time. It flew into the air a second time, sending snow flying, but with Frunzier adding another flight restriction, it could only give up when it sensed the difficulty in doing so. Klein, who kept switching positions by its feet, gained a deeper control of its spirit body threads. It had long reached the 20-second threshold, but he failed to achieve success. This was because the King of the North's spirituality was extremely potent. After a while, there was a clang. Grosel's broadsword was tainted by the frost dragon's breath as he was struck by its claw. The former shattered completely, turning into countless fragments as they flew everywhere. With sputtering sounds, the invisible walls in front of Grosel reached their limit as they let through several fragments that impaled his head and chest. Frunzier, who was similarly nearby, failed to dodge in time. The side of his armor collided with the fragments as his side was mangled. Giants never retreat. Grosel roared loudly once again. The light of dawn radiated from him once again as a sword made of pure light appeared in his palm. As the dark red blood on his face flowed, he parried the frost dragon's strike. At that moment, Klein was flicking the spirit body threads before he finally saw the opportunity to achieve initial control. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Ulison's actions instantly froze as all its joints seemed to grow rust. The frost dragon immediately became alert and sensed that the source of the danger came from beneath it. Seizing the moment before its thoughts came to a complete halt, it instantly made the decision to sit down. It wanted to quash the despicable fella. Suddenly, its mind went adrift, having forgotten what it wanted to do. And about 20 meters away, Mobbit Zorost's knees buckled as he sat strangely on the snow. Klein took the opportunity to move his feet, walking to the side of the frost dragon's hind legs at a decent speed. His invisibility was beginning to wear off. After all, the mimicked ability definitely couldn't compare with the original. He extended his hands halfway as his spirituality jumped, his actions akin to controlling a huge puppet. Bang! Ulison, whose thoughts were already slowing down, finally recalled what it wanted to do. Its hind legs slowly bent as its hefty figure smashed downwards, but all it did was send snow and dust flying. No's no good, have to do that. Thoughts flashed through its mind sporadically as its heart suddenly contracted, condensing a terrifying light blue halo. This was the Beyonder power stemming from its life. It could create a cold hell. With this, Klein and company would completely freeze. If not for Snowman's experience and powers being capable of restraining that state, more than 1 or 2 Beyonders would have died. However, with it under Klein's control, everything Ulison tried to do was clearly impeded. Edwina acutely noticed the source of danger which she previously had no idea about. Immediately, she clenched her right fist, detonating the frost dragon's strong emotions. The King of the North's figure trembled in slow motion as the light blue halo that it had just converged scattered out of control. It failed to interfere with its environment. Ina! The frost dragon's mouth slowly opened as it let out a stuttering cry. Sayada's stood up with great difficulty the moment she recovered a little. Upon seeing the situation, she immediately held back her pain and drew her bow. Her hair flared up again as heavy dark clouds appeared in midair once again. 2 different silver bolts of lightning added radiance to each other as they surged onto the bow, forming a terrifying arrow that swirled with a bolt of lightning. Sayada's face twisted as she released the arrow. The silver bolt of lightning instantly penetrated Ulison's chest with a whoosh, tearing open a ghastly wound. Flames spewed and lightning bolts sparked inside its wound, causing greater damage. At that moment, Anderson's eyes lit up. A blazing white flame enveloped his body as he transformed into a stream of light, accurately shooting straight for the wound. Pitch-black marks rapidly surfaced on the frost dragon's abdomen as though someone was scribbling over it. Ulison's thoughts weren't as slow due to the intense stimulation. As it struggled to flap its wings, it soared up into the sky. Flying is prohibited here. Frunzier added more restrictions in a timely manner. Bang! King of the North fell to the ground again as its pitch-black marks on its abdomen tore open. Light blue blood and damaged organs spewed out like a waterfall. Anderson took the opportunity to jump away from the dragon's body. The flames over his body had extinguished as a transparent layer of ice covered him. Cold, it's really cold. He held Death Brachydont as he stiffly jumped away. His body was constantly trembling. Klein, who had nearly allowed the frost dragon to escape his binding, achieved initial control again. He made Ulison's thoughts of making everyone present die with it slow down as it suffered from theft and explosions. Its long neck slowly looked up as it let out a slow whimper as its body collapsed bit by bit. During this process, Klein didn't attempt to stop Sayada's and company's continued attacks. He knew very well that to turn the frost dragon into a marionette needed far more than 5 minutes. There were too many accidents that could happen in that span of time. Frunzir stood straight while panting. With the side of his body mangled, he pushed forward his swordless palm and declared in ancient Hermes, "Death!" Ulison's body trembled as it collapsed to the ground like a small mountain made of ice. Light blue light that was nearly white was released from its body as its flesh and body quickly disintegrated. Soon, the gigantic dragon corpse turned into a snow-laden heavy door that swung outwards. Without anyone mentioning it, all the Beyonders present knew that it was a door leading to the outside world. Finally, success, Grossel laughed out loud as his voice grew softer. Thud! His nearly 4-meter-tall figure fell forward as he held himself up with a knee. Following that, the light of dawn around him scattered as his aura was almost immediately gone. Grossel, Sayada's and company went over with great difficulty or great speed. Grossel looked around him slowly, clenching his fist as he gave a good-natured laugh. We succeeded. Giants never retreat. His head with the single vertical eye drooped down when his voice came to a halt.